So I'm going to give a little talk on what we're doing with Ember in Intercom. I'm pretty new to Intercom in that I joined maybe, exactly 4 months ago. I originally joined to work on the back end to help decompose their monolithic Rails application into a series of gems and ultimately services. As I was doing that, the kind of workflow with that is you're pulling small pieces of code out. It's like a ball. You're trying to organize them over here, put a nice clean interface on top of it. So as I was building that, I was then looking, okay, how can I integrate this with the view layer in Rails, which we already had, which was, kind of very tightly coupled to the back end. And around about this point, I started, I'd worked a lot with Ember before, and I was a big proponent of it. And I started saying, well, you know what? I could probably build this whole thing, and it would be a lot faster, a lot cleaner, in less time than it would take for me to integrate it with the existing view layer that we had. Also, in my interview, when you go in for half a day, you build a little mini intercom. They asked me what would I do if I had a little more time, and I'd say I'd replace your whole front end with Ember. So that's what we're doing now. So yeah, it was just 8 weeks ago we began. I was the only person in Intercom who had any experience with Ember. A couple of people had played around with Angular. This is a video from a blog post which I posted on Inside Intercom a couple of days ago. And this compares the previous app and the new app. They look very similar. You'll notice the speed. What you don't notice is I estimate it's using around about 10 or 12 times less code, which probably means it's around 30 or 50 times less complex just because of the interactions. It's quite a complex application, and it was quite a usual pattern to change one part of the application and break another. So it was a bit of a problem. So this was the existing app, and you notice that each time we click on a link, we're throwing away the page, we're hitting the server, it has to build up this whole thing again. It's taking around about 3 seconds to refresh the page, but it's just hugely wasteful. If you were to look at the size of the DOM here, there's a whole lot of stuff hidden, there's a whole lot of data injected into DOM, and this is our Ember version, and you'll see it's a lot quicker. But it's so much simpler, and we built this with a very small team, and it took 3 weeks, which I think is pretty amazing. There's a lot more, which I'll actually demonstrate, than what we're showing here. So here's an actual live demo of the application. So we have things like keyboard shortcuts, selection state. I can do tagging. We've got filters. So these are all nested components. It's very quick. We can do things like change the attributes that we're showing. This in the previous app used to result in a full page reload. So you'd actually get people knowing that they had around about 1.5 seconds to click multiple ones before they received a response, that they would actually be fighting the network to get that second request in. So this was actually this is now Intercom. This is released to all our customers yesterday. There are also areas like companies, and you can see that you can see how quick it is to switch between those two sections of the website. This is like a side benefit in that as we Emberify more and more of Intercom, moving from different sections is just quicker and quicker. And we also have all of the foundation that we've built up in the last number of weeks means that new areas that we bring over or new capability that we light up in the application is just easier and easier. So we started with a very small team. I was the only person who had experience with Ember, as I said. One thing that was a common pattern as we brought on more and more teams was just the sheer joy and delight of people learning Ember. things like this is too easy, where's all the code, this is fucking amazing. It's just each person, you could see it happen the same way as you opened up the capabilities of Ember. I wrote about this somewhat in a blog post the other day. It's on Inside Intercom if anyone is interested. We're lucky enough to have Tom Dale over working with us for 2 weeks, and he tweeted this within half an hour of us working on the project, and it kind of, I mean, someone replied saying, well, obviously you wrote the framework, so, but I think your point was, well, why does that matter, bro? It's the point is a shared understanding. These conventions are very strong, they're very well thought out, and it really allows us to have a very high level dialogue about how the application is structured and what the right way to do things in Ember are. Now, this breaks down from time to time. This is an example of no convention over configuration. This was also in his first hour in Intercom. Having seen that, having learned it myself, having taught a lot of people Ember, I'd like to dispel the notion that Ember is hard to learn. It isn't hard to learn. It's an ambitious framework. There's a lot in it, but if you can pair what you have to do to create amazing things in the browser versus rolling your own or using some other set of primitives, it's actually very easy. I think a lot of the confusion comes from comparing a server-side framework which is concentrating on building one page. It's a very different model from a long-running application that has it's a nested application that you can have part of the application activated and then turn off some of it and switch to somewhere else. And it's more akin to writing a native app or an iPhone app. And once you understand that, and throw away some of the maybe Rails concepts or whatever server-side framework you use, it actually becomes very easy. The guides are really fantastic, and I think if you haven't used Ember before, just giving them a quick skirt, you don't have to understand everything, but just actually understanding the concepts is really great. The guides are fantastic. As you're building things, and I find these are the two things that I refer to day in, day out. It's either the guides or the API docs, and they are really fantastic as well. Comprehensive. Ember.js on IRC is also very active, and you'll find this throughout the community. People are very helpful. Ember.js on Freenode is like that. But also, I think importantly, just build something. If you haven't worked with it before, pick something to build. Might be small. Play around with it. I think that's the best way to learn, and you're backed up with a good community and great documentation. This is our first meetup in maybe 8 months or so, but I will be working with Ember a lot more than I have been previously. We will have 20 engineers working, maybe 15 to 20 in the next couple of months within Intercom. We're rebuilding the whole front end on Ember, so naturally, internally, we're really interested in not just learning how to do things the best way with Ember, but also digging into the internals, submitting pull requests, improving the framework, and contributing. So with that, I plan to set up possibly every 2 months. Well, we could do it, depending on the interest. Probably once every 2 months, a meetup like this, and then each other month, maybe a hack night or something like that, where we can get together and actually build applications. So if you're interested in that, talk to me afterwards or follow us on Twitter, and I'll announce everything there. And that is it. Thanks.